Hey everybody, John here from the esports department. Gotta say, I'm pretty glad to be back. We've had some days off here, and during the season, sometimes it got a little overwhelming doing 3 videos a day on the weekends and stuff. But now that we don't have anything to do, I'm kind of excited to come back and do another one here. So let's see what we got going on. We got a 3-game slate this weekend. It's probably one of the last really big ones we're gonna get until Worlds. There should be one more slate after this at least. There's like the LCK Regional Gauntlet plus the finals of LCS and LEC, so we might see a slate for that. That said, this is a pretty interesting slate. I'm going to move away from the stats a little bit on this video. I think I have them on the screen for you guys to see, but that said, I think a lot of it's going to come down to what these teams have been doing in the playoffs and how they've been playing. So we'll see how we feel about the matchups that way, more so than the stats when it comes to a semi-final type matchup like this. The first matchup we have is TSM against Team Liquid. That's going to be down here in the lower bracket finals. The winner of this will play against FlyQuest in the LCS finals. And this matchup does matter for Worlds as well. The loser of this matchup will be in the play-ins at Worlds, and the winner of this matchup will go directly to the main stage. FlyQuest has already secured a spot on the main stage. So this is a pretty important match for these two teams. So here's my thinking. I talked about this on the Gold Card podcast last night. TSM, so far in the playoffs, they beat Dignitas, which we 100% expected. When they lost the Golden Guardians in the first round, it was a lot of bot diff, if we're being honest. It was a big-time bot difference. Golden Guardians' bot lane was crushing TSM's bot lane. Even in the second series, where TSM ends up winning 3-2, I think Golden Guardians probably should have won Game 5, and that series also had a whole lot of bot difference. TSM did start playing towards the top side of the map a little bit more, which I think may be closer to optimal for their playstyle. And I think that's a positive sign. That said, when they played against Cloud9, you could really tell the difference when their bot lane wasn't getting destroyed. Because Cloud9's bot lane I also don't think is super good, and did not compete with TSM in the bot lane the same way the Golden Guardians did. That opened up TSM to look like a completely different team when they weren't relying on the bot lane. When they weren't scared that their bot lane was just going to get annihilated. I think this matchup against Team Liquid is very bad for them for that reason. I think they would actually rather play against FlyQuest, who I think also has a kind of similarly weak bot lane. Sorry guys, getting a random phone call, but I don't think that number can possibly be anything important. Sorry. So, I think this matchup, I think they'd rather play against FlyQuest. I think Wild Turtle, TSM is very able to handle their own in the mid lane and the top lane. I think against most teams in the league, they're going to be fine in those lanes. The biggest problem they've had is the bot lane, and Team Liquid, I think, is ready to punish that. Tactical looked absolutely fantastic in the last series. Core JJ is probably the best support in the league. I think TSM struggles here. And I'm hoping that my read on this is correct, but it feels to me like should be pretty Team Liquid advantaged. And that's how I feel about the series. That said, TSM definitely a live underdog as far as I'm concerned. They're plus 140 according to Vegas, and this seems like a matchup that's definitely winnable for them. Moving on to the second matchup of the day. We'll look at the projections in a minute, so I'm not going to go too deep over KPW and DPL because we're going to have some projections to really show us what's going on with that. The next matchup, DRX versus Damwon Gaming. That is the LCK Finals. And this one has a lot of things going on as far as implications for Worlds. If Damwon Gaming wins this, they will go to Worlds, and Gen G will be the final boss of the regional gauntlet. If DRX wins this, Gen G will actually automatically get a spot at Worlds, and Damwon Gaming will be the final boss of the regional gauntlet. So Damwon Gaming would really like to win this and not have to rely on winning a gauntlet match. They've been the better team all season. I will say, I've said this a little bit before and definitely on the Gold Card podcast as well. You never know what's going to happen in one of these series. There's been so many situations where teams came out, we thought we had a pretty good idea of who was the better team. Then they came out in a best of 5 with a strategy that we just didn't like and just lost 3-0 or lost 3-1, even if we were really confident that they were going to win. I think one of the better examples of this that I talked about there was Griffin against SKT last year. They came into the finals. Everyone was like, "This is Griffin's shot. They're the better team. They've been playing better all year. They're going to go ahead and win the league here." and they came out with their Pantheon bot lane. And I think it was a creative and interesting strategy, but because they were so set on that strategy and T1 had an answer for it, T1 just ran them over. And so I wouldn't put all your eggs in the Damwon Gaming basket, personally. I do think that they should be the favorite. They've been arguably the best team in the world this year. But I would temper expectations just a little bit as far as I don't think they're any sort of lock to win this matchup. You never know when teams come out here with a strategy. DragonX might just have something that Damwon Gaming's not ready for. They might just beat them. I think most people on the Gold Card podcast thought that DRX at plus 275, it was plus 288 when we were discussing it, but plus 275 roughly we thought was pretty good value on DragonX. They have a better than that chance to win the series, I think. So another live dog there, and a very good matchup with a lot of Worlds implications. Going to the third matchup on the slate, G2 against Rogue. This matchup is in the same situation as the first matchup in NA. It is the lower bracket finals. The winner of this will move on to the finals to play Fnatic. I could see either one of these teams winning this matchup, but I think this is the one where I most heavily lean towards the team that I think is going to win, which is G2. I think Rogue has a worse chance of winning than DRX or TSM. I think both of those would be better underdog picks. G2 hasn't played incredibly lately. I mean, they did lose to Fnatic, but even in their previous series against Mad, I mean, it's not like they were just blowing the roof off. Like, they played pretty well, but it wasn't super exciting. Where Rogue just came off a very, very nice series against Mad Lions. I do think Mad Lions has underperformed a lot in the last half of the season and the playoffs here. Like, they did manage to beat Schalke, which was big for them so they can go to Worlds. But I think overall, if you looked at the picture of the last half of the season for Mad Lions, they wouldn't be too excited about it. So I don't know how much value I want to put on the Rogue 3-0. The biggest thing I would put value on there is not the fact that they won 3-0, but the fact that they showed a willingness to try out sort of different strategies. They played different types of compositions than they'd played all year, and one of the biggest criticisms that we had of Rogue is this is the kind of team that doesn't have a lot of like malleability. And when we saw this matchup, their matchup against Mad Lions, they definitely had a lot of malleability in that series. They played a different strategy than we're used to seeing. They played it well and earned a very serious victory there. That said, I think G2 is the most likely of these teams to win their series. If we looked at potential ownerships, I think we're looking at Damwon Gaming, followed by G2, followed by one of the NA teams. I'm going to have to look at the pricing for this. But I definitely think it'll be Damwon, G2, blank, Rogue, and DRX as the smallest owned team. I don't think people are going to be on DRX. The two middle teams, TSM and Team Liquid, it matters to me how the pricing looks. So let's take a look at the pricing real quick. And let me get rid of some of these people that aren't going to be playing in this series. Let's look at the pricing. So in the top lane, it's Damwon Gaming most expensive. Team Liquid just barely more expensive than TSM. In the jungle, they're a decent amount more expensive. Just slightly more. So probably given that, I would say it's probably going to be Team Liquid followed by TSM. Just because you should be able to fit pretty much anything that you could fit with TSM probably fits or close to fits with Team Liquid as well. Let's look at possible cash game lineups here. So you have three options of teams to choose from. Let's start with Damwon Gaming and G2 and see what we come up with there, and we'll test all the different possibilities. So there you would get a 4 Damwon Gaming lineup with Canyon Captain, a Jungle Captain, and it comes out to 915.9. If we did Damwon and Team Liquid, you get an 80 Carry Captain, and it comes out to 972.7. Sorry, guys. And if you did the last two, it'd be G2 and Team Liquid. And G2 Team Liquid is an 80 Carry Captain, but comes out to 877.4. So Damwon is where it wants you to be involved. Damwon and Team Liquid gives you the highest expectation, and these are pretty vast differences as well. Let me try real quick putting the team slot numbers back at 90 here, just to see if there's any edits there. I forgot to do that this time around. So starting with Damwon G2, 908.1. Switching to Damwon Team Liquid, 960.2. And G2 Team Liquid, 869.6. Interesting. So Damwon is really the team. Let's check the favorite scoring real quick. We can kind of infer from what we're seeing here that Damwon is going to be the highest projected. In the top lane, it's a pretty stark difference actually. 18 points down to Team Liquid and then 4 more points down to G2. In the jungle, Damwon, yeah, about 12 points ahead of Team Liquid, G2 in the last place. In the mid lane, Damwon about 27 points ahead, and Team Liquid is in last. At 80 carry, it's actually very, very close between Ghost and Tactical, but Perks is far down on the list. And then at support, it's Beryl, only about 4 points ahead of Core JJ. But yeah, it thinks that the Team Liquid actually is going to be a higher scoring team than G2 in this matchup. Rogue really limiting fantasy points to their opponents. So that definitely could be an edge. I could see more people being on G2 than being on Team Liquid, and if you trust the stats, that's not really where you want to be. So I think probably as far as cash, you may just want to go with Damwon G2. I don't think the TL-TSM matchup is predictable enough that you would want to play them in cash, probably. If you really trust it, like me, I do really trust Team Liquid, and I might end up playing them in cash. You can get a much higher ceiling according to this by avoiding G2 and just going with Damwon and Team Liquid. Those are kind of your options. I think you can play Damwon G2 or you can play Damwon TL if you really believe in Team Liquid, which I think is probably where I'm going to go. I think I have faith that my read about the bot lanes is correct. So an interesting slate there, guys. Hopefully we make some good money here. We're probably only getting 1, maybe 2 more slates out of the major regions before Worlds. Then we're going to have a little break, and then we're going to go to the World Championships. We're going to have EU Masters next week as well, so we'll be able to mess around with the EU Masters. But that's all for this one, guys, and I will talk to everybody again later.